When there are actual problems, especially financial problems, in order for them to get addressed, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest about the situation. You have to assess it properly and identify the actual issue. In the event that it is going to get fixed, it's not going to fix itself. Oftentimes, you get members of Hollywood in the entertainment sectors, though it's not just exclusive to that, where they like to think that they got it all figured out. And because it would force them to have to admit that they messed up or they did something incorrectly, they'd much rather just make something up. Because again, at fault is not something it is that they want. Bob Iger seems to be the king of that. Chapek was the fall guy, by the way. Bob Iger not at all concerned about Disney World traffic, blames drops on COVID hot weather. Disney CEO Bob Iger pushed back on reports of worrisome drops in Disney World attendance, claiming that foot traffic is down because of difficult comparisons with 2020, when Florida's lax COVID restrictions sparked an unusual boom at the theme park. Florida opened up early during COVID, and it created a huge demand. It didn't have competition because there were a number of states that were not open yet. Since 2019, lines for attractions at Magic Kingdom, Disney most visited park, have gotten increasingly shorter. It was reported this week average wait times fell from 47 minutes per ride to 31 minutes in 2022, according to Wall Street Journal. So far this year, lines at Magic Kingdom are averaging 27 minutes. According to the Journal, shrinking wait times are also reportedly a trend that are apparent at Epcot, the Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom. Now, this isn't a surprise, and this is very serious. Let me get this out the way first and foremost. They rely on their parks, okay? It is one of the things that they have been able to depend on despite any flop and other issues. But unlike previous years, right now, they are struggling there. It's at minimum, you could say it's stagnant. In a lot of ways, it's a decline. I know they was at July 4th. Wait times were lower than they'd ever been, like in the last 10 years or something of that nature. But we've talked about their other various issues with that failed hotel and all sorts of things that they're just not. They don't have enthusiasm behind their products, and I think that Disney right now has a specific brand issue. That's what it is, and they just don't want to admit it. And then in response, Iger told CNBC that in 2020, Florida was the only game in town. There's so much competition today. Not at all concerned that that attendance will continue to drop and affect business over time. And they talked about these lawsuits. He says no sign of that being a problem. We do not have long-term concerns about that business, and that's what Iger added. So Disney's Hollywood Studios, which features Disney Star Wars attractions, saw its third slowest day of the past year on 4th of July. Jamie Brown, Walt Disney World annual pass holder who lives in Celebration, Florida, told the Wall Street Journal that she visited all 4 of the resort's theme parks during the week of July 4th. Says, I couldn't believe how light the crowds were, and they reached out to Disney to comment, the post that is, about that. And we covered that as well, that it was one of the worst July 4ths that they had in a very long time. And it says right here, despite generating a whopping $28.7 billion in revenue and $7.9 billion in profit for fiscal year 2022, topping the company's pre-pandemic performance, Iger up to one-day tickets to any of its 4 Orlando theme parks from $109 to anywhere between $124 and $189, depending on the day-to-day demand. This is also, didn't they cut some? They were giving away some tickets for very, very cheap. It's not the hot weather. Florida is, people know that it can get warm there. That's not the problem at all. It's not COVID or I guess they tricked themselves into believing let's say this has gotten more competitive, I guess, in 3 years. No, that's not what it is. It's just you have a brand problem and there's no enthusiasm around your actual brand anymore. And that's going to be hard to recover from because you're facing that issue everywhere that you're at right now. It's on the problems have surfaced. Obviously in the movies and shows, and you're losing billions of dollars on streaming services. We've seen your flops that you've been dropping back to back to back. It's a brand issue. It's a brand issue there. The brand is failing. That I think that whole Reimagine Disney tomorrow, whatever it was called, as well as the public spat that they had with, for whatever reason, taking the side of people that wanted to use the public education system to groom children. That was a bizarre thing. And I think as people realize, this is what it is. When people, even if it's only supposed to be temporary, it's very hard to get those people back when they have made it clear that they don't want it, even if it's for just a moment. Because what ends up happening is they understand that they can do without it. Maybe they found something better than your material or your entertainment that they used to provide them, or they just, again, it's like, hey, I've grown out of this. It's very difficult to get people back in the good graces. I mean, I guess they would have it easier than, let's say, I would because it's freaking Disney. But it's not a difficult thing. And once you damage your brand, the actual brand, it takes a long time to try to get that rapport back with your audience. And that's what Disney's faced with right now. So the fact that their parks are doing bad, now end on this note, that signifies that there really is a brand issue. Because generally speaking, when we would talk about their flops and all that, the parks were still the parks. It doesn't seem to be that anymore. If you like this video and want to get into a new comic book universe, visit Rippaverse.com. Our first campaign for iSum 1 hit $3.7 million, and the pre-order campaign for iSum 2 is currently live. So go check it out and watch the official launch trailer, which is the first animation of Rippaverse Studios.